Why you wanna run away? Why you gotta be afraid? I wish I could make you stay, cause baby I love.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be teaching you guys how to cut and sew this gorgeous dress with Basque effect. So I'll draft on my pattern paper first. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust, which is 10.5 inches. I'm going to rule a straight line across. And the next point I'll take is my under bust point, which is 13 inches. I'll also indicate and I'll rule a straight line across. The next step I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my waist, which is 16 inches, but I'm going to add 1 inch to it, making it 17 inches. I'll indicate and I'll rule a straight line across. So these are the vertical measurements that I'll be taking. On my bust points, I'll go up by 2 inches, which is going to give me my chest line. I'll indicate that and I'll also rule a straight line across. So I have my first point, which is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust point, and my waist line. On my shoulder area, which is the top of the pattern paper, I'll take my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. On my chest line, I'll take half of my armhole measurement, which is also 8 inches, and I'll connect the 2 dots into a straight line with my ruler. In order to carve out my armhole, on my chest line, I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9 inches. And on this straight line that I have here, I'll find the middle point. What I have is 8.5 inches. I'll fold my tape into 2 like this to get the middle point. And then I'm going to mark the middle point with my marker. And I'll go inward like this by half an inch. So if you don't understand, just pay close attention to what I am doing. I went in by half an inch, so I'm going to use my ruler to curve from my shoulder area to meet the half inch and to meet the bust point. So this is what I have after doing that. The next measurement I'll take is my neckline measurement. So for the width, I'm going to take 4 inches, and for the depth, it totally depends on you. As you can see on the one that we are following, the neckline is a V neckline. So I'm just going to mark it on my chest line. If I need it to still go down, I'm just going to slant down. So it depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. You can slant from the 4 inches to meet your bust point if you want, but for now I'm going to stop at the chest line. So I'll use my ruler to slant in form of a V like this. So that is what I'll be using for my neckline. The next thing I'll do is to take my bust span measurement, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. I'll take that on the bust line, on the under bust line, and on the waist line, and I'll connect the dots into a straight line like this. So on the waistline, I'm going to take half an inch on one end and take half an inch on the other end. As you can see, I made a mistake because I'm taking this on my UBL. I'm supposed to take it on my waistline. So when doing yours, take the half an inch on the waistline. On the bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'll use my ruler to connect just like you see me doing. So I later adjusted mine. So if you are going to do this, take your half an inch on the waistline and then connect all the way to meet the bust line. I hope that you understand. So the next thing I'll do is to create my cup. So on my bust point, I'll go up by half an inch, and I'll also come inside like this, inward by half an inch. I will indicate that. So what I'll do is to connect the both half an inch together like this, and I'm going to use my curve rule to connect from that part to meet my under bust line. So I'm creating my first cup now. So if you don't have this ruler, you can just carefully use your free hand to create your curve, your cup like this. So after doing that, this is what I have for one part of the cup. To get the other part of the cup, I'm going to measure the distance from my bust point to my under bust, which is 2.5 inches. I'll go ahead and add half an inch to it. So whatever you have, add half an inch to it. I'll place my tape on my dart line and go out by that 3 inches. Go out by whatever you have and indicate that. And I'll also go up just like we did for the center front by half an inch. You can see me taking half an inch to the end because I want to connect the dots into a straight line. So in case you don't understand, just look at what I'm doing. I'm trying to create another armhole area on this side. So I'm connecting my half an inch. So I'm going to place my ruler just like I did before. From the 3 inches, I'm going to curve out the other cup like this. So if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask me in the comment section in case you don't understand. So we have gotten the cup that we want. So the next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurements. On this point, I already have my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll go ahead and add 2 inches for stitching allowance. On my waistline, I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4 and I'll add my stitching allowance. Don't forget to replace your darts. And also I'm going to cover out the armhole to meet my seam allowance. So the rest part of this pattern paper, we're going to use it to create our back's waistline. So what I have is 4.5 inches, which is more than enough, and that's the standard. On the waistline, I'll go up by 1 inch, just like you see me doing, and I'm going to use my ruler to connect from that 4.5 inches to meet my waistline, which is 16 inches because I've already reduced 1 inch from it. And for the neckline, I want it to be deep, so I'm just going to curve from the half an inch that I came up with. I'll curve like this to meet this part. So this is what I want for my neckline. I hope that this was easy to understand. If you don't understand, feel free to ask me question in the comment section. To get my shoulder slope, I'll go down by 1 inch from the armhole area and I'll slant into the neckline like this. After doing that, I'm going to cut. So this is how easy drafting the front part is. Just pay close attention to how I am cutting this so you don't mess up your pattern paper. So this is what I have. Next thing I'll do is to close my dart because I'll be using a chiffon fabric, and I'll just close the dart. That way I'm going to cut off just one fabric. I'm not going to cut out two. I'll use my masking tape to just tape it down like this. So I've already taken in my dart and I'll go ahead and label it. I have my center front and my side front. I also have my cup. So the next thing we'll do is to work on the cup. So if you notice the one we are following, there's a little bit of gathers on the cup area. So I'll measure what I have on my shoulder line, which is 4 inches. I'll fold my tape into two like this to get the middle point, and then I'm going to indicate the middle point on the shoulder line. After doing that, I'll slant from that middle point to meet my dart line on the end of the cup with my ruler, and I'm going to split it open because I want to do the slash and spread method. I'll go ahead and slash through like this, but I'm not going to cut it out completely. So this is what I have after cutting out. So I'm going to cut this on my fabric. I'm just going to open it up by 2 inches. It depends on how full you want the gathers to be, but I think 2 inches is more than enough. I'll tape the upper area down so that it will not open completely. For the back, I've already gone ahead to draft out everything that I add on the front pattern. The only difference is the zip allowance of 1.5 inches. So I have my chest line, my bust point, my waist point, and under bust point and my waist point, and I've also taken in my shoulder measurement, half of my shoulder measurement. So for the armhole, same thing that I did for the front pattern, I'll find the middle point, which is 4.5 inches or thereabout, and then on the chest line I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4, just like you see me doing. No need to go inward by half an inch the way we did for the front. I'm just going to connect from here to meet the middle point, and we are done with the back armhole. And for the neckline, is a very high neckline, so what I'll do is go down by 1 inch for the depth, and for the width, remember we took 4 inches for the front pattern, so I'm also going to take 4 inches, and I'll use my ruler to connect like this. After doing that, next thing I'll do is to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. This is everything that we did for the front pattern, and I'm going to slant into the neckline like this. So the next thing I'll do is to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is the same thing we did for the front. I'll take on the bust points, on the under bust points, and on the waist point, and I'll connect the dot into a straight line. So this is totally optional. If you're using a stretchy fabric, you don't have to do this. Me personally, I didn't take in my dart because of the kind of fabric that I used. I know it was going to give me issues, so I didn't bother taking in my dart. So it depends on the fabric you are using. So I took half an inch on the waist area for both sides of the dart, and I connected to meet the bust point. So this is the same thing you should do for the front pattern. Remember, I made a mistake. So on my bust point, I already have my bust measurement divided by 4. I added 2 inches for stitching allowance. On my waist point, I'm taking my waist measurement divided by 4. I'm replacing my dart of 1 inches, and I'm adding 2 inches for my stitching allowance, which makes it 3 inches. I'll go ahead and connect the dot like this. The same thing we did for our basque effects. On the waistline, on the other end, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, and I'll connect from this point in a V form like this. I'll connect it to meet the 1 inch that we have on the waistline, so you guys understand why I added 1 inch to my waistline while I was cutting. So we are going to adjust our zipper area on the waistline. Remember, our zipper allowance is 1.5 inches. I'm going to take 1 inch away from my waistline. So what I have there now is half an inch. I'll connect from that 1 inch that I took away. I'll connect it up like this, so that way when I attach my zip, it's not going to be bulgy on the down part. I don't know if you understand, but this is how I contour my zip area. So I'll just go ahead and connect like this. I'll blend in my neckline. I'll also blend in my armhole area like this, and yeah, we are done with drafting the pattern for the back. It's as easy as that. What I'll do is to go ahead and cut, and then I'll use this to cut on my fabric. When cutting on your fabric, don't forget to add stitching allowance on all sides. So I've gone ahead to cut on my fabric, and this is what I have. You can see my stitching allowance on all sides, even on the cup area. I added half an inch all the way around, so please don't forget to do that. So let's talk about the cup. For the cup, like I said before, I'll be spreading it by 2 inches, which you can see. So I'm going to use the 2 inches to create my gathers for the top, and I have 4 pieces of this fabric. 2 is going to be for the lining and 2 will be for the main fabric. So I'll go ahead and place them right sides facing each other, and I'm going to sew the neckline and the shoulder area, just the neckline and the shoulder area. So I've gone ahead to do that. I'll go ahead and notch all the way around, and I'll turn it inside out. So this is what I have for my neckline, and this is what it looks like. The next thing I'll do is to go ahead and run a gather stitch from this end to meet the other end for both cups like this. I'll do the same thing for the other cup. Like I said, I'll run a gather stitch to meet the other end. I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have. Next thing I'll do is to take one end of the rope, and I'll pull gently to create my gathers. I'll do the same thing for both cups. So I've gone ahead to create my gathers, and this is what I have. For the cup area, I'll remove my pins like this, and I'm going to open it up. I have 2 pieces for this. One is going to serve as my lining, and the other one will serve as my main fabric. So I'll keep the lining up aside, and I'm going to bring my cup. I'm going to fix my cup inside this particular fabric, which is the main fabric. So this is how I'm going to pin it. So look at what I'm doing carefully, because this part is the most important part of this tutorial. So I'll place my neckline facing each other. Don't forget to do that. Remember, we have already sewn in our neckline. So I'm going to go down by half an inch because I'll be adding my lining later. I went down by half an inch, and on the side also I added half an inch allowance, which I'll use to sew the cup to this particular fabric. So I'm just taking in the half an inch on both sides. So I'm going to place my cup on it like this, leaving the half an inch on the upper area. I'm not going to pin the cup to that side. So I'll go ahead and pin my cup all the way around to meet the armhole. After doing that, I'll sew this particular one. Please take your time to do this so that it will come out well. After sewing this, after pinning, I'll look at it and make sure it's okay before I go ahead and sew. After sewing, you should have something like this. If you don't get it the first time, lose it and do it again. Take your time to do it so it comes out really nice. For the second one, and please don't sew at the same time, sew one before you sew the other one. So I'll pin the other one like this, and I'll also go ahead and sew just like I did for the first one. So after sewing my cup in place, this is what I have. This is the inside, and that is the outside. The next thing I'll do is to attach my lining. So I'm going to place the right side is facing me, and I'll place my lining on it, right sides facing each other. I'll pin the middle together like this, and then I'm going to turn it to the wrong side. Just pay close attention to what I am doing. So I'm going to pin this cup area together like this to meet the end. That way, after pinning, when I sew and I turn the lining to the right side, you see that the rough edges will be inside, not outside. So if you don't understand, just look at what I am doing. So I'll pin from the beginning to the end, and I'll go ahead and sew this part. Once I'm okay with this part, I'll go ahead and pin the other side also, and I'll go ahead and sew. So I've gone ahead to sew one part, and this is what it looks like. So I'll turn it like this, and I'll pin the other side, and I'll go ahead and sew. So I've gone ahead to sew my lining in place, and this is what it looks like. The outside is clean and the inside is clean. You can see that the rough edges on the cup area is inside. So we'll go ahead and join our back piece together. So for the back piece, I have four of it. I have two lining and two main piece. So my fabric was not enough, so I decided to use a normal lining for the back. I didn't use the main fabric. So what I'll do is to place my lining and my fabric together, and I'll go ahead and sew all the way around. The only place I'll not sew is the base and my armhole area, because I'll use it to turn everything inside out. I'll also go ahead and attach my zip. If you are taking in your darts at this point, go ahead and take in your dart, but I didn't do that for mine because of the fabric that I'm using. I've also gone ahead to attach my zip, and this is what the back is looking like. So this is it. What I'll do is to join the both shoulders together. I'll join both the front and the back shoulders together. So let's go ahead and work on our sleeves. So for the sleeve, I already have my basic sleeve. If you don't know how to do this, I have a very detailed tutorial on how to cut out your basic sleeve. This is just a normal sleeve. So I'm going to just open the sleeve like this. On the wrong side, I'm going to go up by 8 inches, and I'll mark into a straight line. So I'll use 1 inch to hem the base of the sleeve, and the remaining 7 inches will be like in form of I don't know, but you guys can see the sleeve on the thumbnail. I don't know what to call the sleeve, but then the wideness of my sleeve is 23 inches, and the length of my sleeve is 23 inches also. I'll go ahead to use the 1 inch to hem the base of my sleeve, and for this part of the sleeve, I have my elastic band, which is the exact size of my wrist. I'm going to place it on this line, and I'll keep dragging and gathering till I get to the end of this fabric. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other sleeves. I've gone ahead to do that. You guys can see the outcome, and I've also hemmed the base of the sleeve. So the next thing I'll do is to open the armhole area of the dress, and I'm going to attach my sleeve. So I already notched the middle part of this sleeve. I'm going to place it on the middle part of the armhole area of the dress, and then I'll pin all the way around. I'll go ahead and sew. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side of this dress, and I'll close the sleeves and the dress together. I've gone ahead to join the sleeve and the dress together using my basic bodice measurement, but I left an opening on the base, that is on the basque effect area, so that I'll be able to attach my basque effect. So this is the amount of fabric I'll be using for my basque effect area. I've already gone ahead to hem the base. The length of the fabric that I have here is 15.5 inches. I'll be using half an inch to join this part to the other part, and the wideness of this fabric is 59 inches. So this is just for the front. I have another 59 inches for the back. So I've already gone ahead to gather the other one. I'll gather it to the measurement of my waist. So remember, we stopped at the waistline on the pattern paper, and this is the part that is going to complete the dress. So I've already gone ahead to run my gather stitch also on this one. I'll pull one end of the rope till I gather to meet the end of the fabric, and the gathering is going to be the length of my waist, which is 14 inches. So I'll keep gathering till I get what I want. So remember that I have two for this. After gathering, I'm going to measure to see what I have, and what I have is 14 inches. So I'm going to bring one of it like this, and I'll pin it all the way around for the front. After doing that, I'll also pin that of the back to the back, and I'll go ahead and sew. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Please subscribe if you have not. Give me a thumbs up. Like this video is very important. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.